uh, in the evening. And I would like to call the Board of Aldermen work session into order for February 4th, 2026. If you please stand and join for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. City Clerk, could you please call the roll?
Mayor Woodman,
Here.
Alderman Detweiler,
Here.
Alderman Gettemeyer,
Here.
Alderman Johnson,
Here.
Alderman Nay,
Here.
Alderman Waters,
Here.
Alderman Wilson.
Present.
Quorum is present.
Okay. We've got 3 items on the agenda this evening. The first of those is going to be a Delta 8 THC presentation by Chief DiGiuseppe from Lake St. Louis and retired Chief Mike Wigan. Gentlemen, please come forward.
Thank you, Mayor and members of the board. Appreciate you having us here. We're asked to come out and give a little bit of information on Delta 8. I'm with the Lake St. Louis Police Department, but myself and Chief Wigan also represent the legislative arm of the police chiefs across the state. We do a lot of legislation, education down in Jeff City. One of our top priorities is trying to regulate or ban Delta 8. We've been trying to do this for about 3 years now, 2 years. 2 years ago, we tried to get it banned. Last year, we were told that heavy regulations were coming. And then this year, we're back. That didn't happen. This year, we're back and we're trying to get it banned. Let me give you a little bit of history, a little bit of background on why it's a priority of the police chiefs. So we'll start with some of the accounts that we have from other police departments. St. Louis County, we had there was a police department reported parents of a 15-year-old. They had a 15-year-old son. They contacted the PD. They reported that their son had been out to one of these smoke shops, convenience stores, wherever they were selling this THC product. He was given a complimentary 300 milligram THC gummy. To give you an idea, the dispensaries, regular gummy in a dispensary is about 5 to 10 milligrams. He was given this complimentary, never checked his age, anything like that. He consumed it, actually consumed half of it, didn't have any effects right away. So he consumed the rest of it. They went to sleep or passed out. They found him in what they described as a catatonic state. They couldn't wake him up, in other words. They couldn't wake him up. He was vomiting. They luckily didn't suffocate. They rushed him to the emergency room. Doctor said, yeah, he would live, but it's going to take approximately 3 days to metabolize that amount out of his system. One of the other accounts we had was a 16-year-old. The parents reported their 16-year-old daughter went into one of these smoke shops and attempted to buy, well, actually she did buy, she bought candy. It was Airheads candy that was supposed to be infused with intoxicating hemp. She purchased it, she consumed it, nothing happened. Never carded her, never asked her for ID. She went back and said, hey, this stuff didn't work. They said, well, let us get you to something more potent. So they prescribed, or I guess they gave her something that was more potent. Once again, she took it home, she consumed it. She ended up in the emergency room and missed several days of school, 6 days or so, where it took that amount of time to metabolize out of her system because of the quantity. Eureka PD, I'm going to turn it over to Mike Wigan. And in fact, up on I don't know if you guys can see the screen, but up on the screen are some of the products. If you take a look at that, this is what we're talking about. A lot of the stuff is packaged like candy, cookies, cereal, and it's marketed to kids. And this is one of our primary reasons for doing this. Mike's going to outline an incident he had when he was the chief of Eureka at the garage sale they had at Six Flags.
Good evening. Thank you. My name again is Mike Wigan from Eureka PD. Just retired April of last year after 38 years as the police chief and 49 years in law enforcement. Never had seen anything like this in 2023. Our garage sale is well known throughout the area. Our Chamber of Commerce puts together a garage sale. We help, the police department helps. I was the president of the chamber for years. So we all volunteer, as all of us do in chambers. Our chamber director said, hey, we got this guy who's called the Bud Man, and he has his stand that he wants to put in there. I said, okay, who cares? And lo and behold, she goes, I don't know what he's going to sell, but what do you think? And I said, the Bud Man's probably Bud-related products, right? Well, little did I know. Mark Cox, 97.1 radio station, happened to be at our garage sale. He goes, oh, let me show you some pictures, as he comes up to our command post and says, Chief, you probably got a problem on your parking lot, and shows me the pictures he took on his cell phone. You're seeing some of those pictures on the screens there. That's the product these guys were selling. The minute we went up, me and a couple police officers went up to them, you see they turned their backs on us, and we started taking pictures because they didn't want their pictures taken. But when we inquired what this product was, oh, it is hemp. Under the Farm Bill, we're allowed to sell hemp products. 2018 Farm Bill, which I had little knowledge of that. So we're quick looking it up on our phones. And he's right. We couldn't do anything about it. So these guys can grow this in their backyard. Anybody can grow this stuff in their backyard because it's protected. Under the hemp bill, it's not considered marijuana. But if we would have tested it, it would have came back as marijuana. But it's something that a product that we couldn't prosecute in court at the time. So we're here tonight to tell you about the evils of this stuff. I gave you some packets and pamphlets that look like this. Contains a lot of information. Chief DiGiuseppe told you some of the problems we're having, and those incidents were in St. Louis County, in one of the communities near us in Eureka. What we as police officers and we as community members don't always understand is the resources that are used to respond to those calls that police department in St. Louis County had. They had several calls from a vape shop. It was a vape shop that was providing these products without checking IDs, without having any kind of other information available. Oh, you can't come in here, you're not 21, because it doesn't require that. Vape shops do. If you have an ordinance, it does require that. Some of them don't have those requirements. So you have a police officer responding to a call to a home where a kid is not waking up. You have an ambulance, several firefighters, and then you have emergency room staff. You have a lot of resources deployed because we have someone who was given a substance, unknown, unregulated. We have no idea what's in there. And that's some of the problems we're facing with this product. So the Missouri police chiefs have gathered a bunch of information. And in all honesty, in all fairness, I want to tell you, these documents were provided by the Missouri Cannabis Association because they have unlimited resources and they can provide colored documents. And they want this stuff regulated because they're in the business to make money legally. These guys are the competition. So I have to tell you that as a disclaimer. On the last page of this document that I gave out, it has 435 verified, unregulated retailers in the state of Missouri. The association has gone through and bought products, some of these unregistered, unlicensed dispensaries, vape shops, and have taken them to their independent laboratories to see what's in them. And it ranges from all kinds of pesticides and other things that are not regulated by the state of Missouri or anybody else, like the cannabis shops that have legal licenses are. So if you look at that website, there's one or two around and throughout St. Charles County. But tonight we're here just to ask you to consider an ordinance that Chesterfield passed up a year and a half, year ago.
Yeah, about a year ago. Just a little bit more about it. They, some of these products, they're selling up to 33,000 milligrams of THC in one bag. We were out at the municipal league talking to them. We got feedback from them where one of the school districts said they get 9 to 10 complaints a week because of these products and such. And Mike's right too. You know, the political implications behind this are we've got billion-dollar industries that are competing. We've been down to Jefferson City. This is like the third time trying to get it banned. But the marijuana industry too, right? The marijuana industry wants it banned because it's competition. I've got no love for the marijuana industry either. We've got the breweries weighing in on it too because there's a drink product. They're trying to sell these. There's no point of sale. So in other words, you can set this stuff up anywhere and sell it. You want to sell it in a restaurant, gas station, Walmart, Target, or just yeah, set up a garage sale and just call it hemp. You know, you can do that. What you can do locally right now is you could pass an ordinance to ban it from people under 21 to keep it behind the counter. That's what we've done over in Lake St. Louis. It's what Chesterfield's had set up for about a year. They haven't been challenged on it. And there are others. The federal government has now banned it or said that they're going to ban it, but they've given a 365-day grace period. So we'll see if that holds. The state, we have two bills that are out there. It's just passed out of the House and Senate. And we'll see if that actually goes through and we can get it through legislature to get banned statewide. But in the meantime, like I said, this is what municipalities can do. If you're interested in that, we can get you the model ordinance. And I think that's pretty much about it. Is there any questions about this or anything that we can clear up?
I want to first just say thanks for coming out and helping educate the board on this and the city on this important issue. It's something that we've heard little bits about here and there, and we've had some discussions and some legislation we looked at earlier this year that was similar, but I think this really helps bring to light the importance of this issue and kind of help us develop a round, more comprehensive approach to a problem that's now really clear. Thanks to you guys. One of the questions I had, and I think I understand it, but since you guys are the experts, can you help the board understand what making it, 21, the city has to regulate it to be 21 and over, and then it goes behind the counter. Can you kind of flesh that out a little bit and help us understand what you mean when you say to get it behind the counter by making it 21 and over?
Yeah. So the model ordinance basically says that you can't sell it to anybody under 21, just like alcohol. Behind the counter, the way that it's worded in the ordinance is basically you can't possess it before you purchase it. So they either have to keep it behind the counter in an office or whatnot. That prevents a kid from going in. And if you look at these products, they look just like candy. It prevents a kid from going in and purchasing it. It holds them to the regulation of trying to, card people that come in to verify their age. Chesterfield put it in place. Like I said, it has been challenged. That's probably the safest way to do it. I can tell you the city of Rolla right now is trying to ban it completely. I believe Kansas City is trying to ban it completely. The only problem is right now that the hemp bill, the farm bill, which was used to protect hemp farmers. Hemp's a product that's used in a lot of construction and industrial purposes, not for intoxicating purposes. So they passed that to try to protect them. In that bill, it basically says you cannot regulate any derivative of hemp. So what they've done is they've taken this micro amount of THC, the intoxicating substance, they've superheated it, extracted it, and put it into these products as a loophole. The federal government's trying to close that loophole, and the state, if they get that passed, will too. But that's kind of how the ordinance works. It's under 21, or it's 21 and over, and you can't possess it before you purchase it. So,
Thank you, Chief. No further questions for me. Does the board have any additional questions for Chief DiGiuseppe and Chief Weigand?
Thank you.
thank you guys.
Does the ATF have any authority in regulating any of these shops or anything like that?
So when we talked to some of the federal agencies, I can tell you U.S. Attorney has jurisdiction. They've told me recently that if they have people overdose, like the overdose cases, and they are taken to the hospital, that's considered serious physical injury. So they're looking into trying to prosecute those. But it's so widespread, and with that loophole, I think that they're more active on it now because the federal government's come back and said, we're going to regulate this and ban this. So yes, somewhat. We just don't know yet. With those carve outs, the federal federal and state farm bill, it was just impossible to enforce. And we as police departments had to go back to our residents, when their kids brought this home and said, we can't do anything about it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
One more question. What is Lake St. Louis doing to educate their parents and all that about this information?
Well, we're first trying to educate our businesses that
Okay.
we got the ordinance in place. I am considering, haven't got this off the ground, but I've talked to my community resource team. I'm considering trying to do a program like a teen safe business program where we go in and we verify you're not selling alcohol to anybody under 21. You're not selling these products. You're checking certain boxes. We put a sign up in the business saying this is a teen safe business. And then we do a PR campaign saying, hey, parents, this gas station's safe. So that's one of the things I'm considering, but haven't got it kicked off yet, but certainly will. Once we do, we'll try to spread that around to the other PDs.
Please do. Appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Okay. Would the board like to consider reviewing the model ordinance that was discussed? Would the board like to have the city attorney look at this and come back to the board with a potential options, or look at it and basically see if it's a good fit for Darden Prairie?
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Alderman Johnson to consider the model ordinance that was presented tonight.
I'll second it, but I'd like to see what Lake St. Louis has out there, not just something that we might make changes to. I'd really like to see their ordinance, because this is exactly the thing that I was talking about when we had the one business come in here. It's something I have witnessed over and over again, and I hope now everybody will understand how dangerous this is. And we all have kids and grandkids, and anybody is susceptible to it. So, whatever Darden Prairie can do to protect our kids and grandkids, I think it's our responsibility to do that. So yes, I'd like to see
Okay.
that ordinance.
The second by Alderman Detweiler, but note before we vote, it is Lake St. Louis, I understand, is substantially similar to the one that is in Chesterfield and these other ones that they just spoke about. So I think that would be covered in the initial motion. So if that's okay with you, I'll just call a clean second with, okay. Seconded by Alderman Detweiler, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Unheard? Okay. The city attorney, if you please take a look at that and come back to the board next meeting, that'd be much appreciated. Okay, next up is a snow response report from City Minister Kathy Pratt and our city engineer, Mr. Matt Davison. Who wants to go? Yeah.
I'll get in the hot seat first. How's
Yeah.
that? Well, first of all, both Matt and I want to start by acknowledging how frustrating the recent storm event was for our residents. We understand how those kinds of events disrupt their daily life. There was concerns for safety, and we take those concerns seriously. Our public works supervisor, Joe Morris, was working almost around the clock himself, trying to manage our contractor, and also got out there on a snowplow himself, trying to support the effort that was taking place. Just for some historical background, until last year, snow removal in Darden Prairie was provided by St. Charles County. Last October, the county notified the city that due to population thresholds, they would no longer be plowing snow for us. That decision was not negotiable, so the city was forced to find an alternative service provider. I've heard the suggestion that O'Fallon would have contracted with us for services. I personally asked every city administrator in St. Charles County if they would plow snow for Darden Prairie, and I was told no. The city was required then to secure a private contractor, and we went through a formal bid process, which Matt will review as part of his presentation tonight. During this event, we heard some comparisons to neighboring cities, and that's certainly understandable, especially when you have to drive through one to get to and from Darden Prairie. But those cities operate very differently, excuse me. They operate with large in-house snow fleets with heavier equipment than we were able to secure on a private contract. In particular, we were compared to Lake St. Louis during this event, and they did a great job with snow. They had 8 municipal trucks and 16 drivers with a mechanic and supervisor working 24/7. And just because I think it helps to put this into context, the tax rate in Lake St. Louis is 5 times that of Darden Prairie. So for a home that's valued at $450,000 in Darden Prairie, the city receives $70 in property tax revenue. I know you get big tax bills, they're like $3,900, but of that, the city gets $70. If that same home was in Lake St. Louis would get $335. So I just think you have to understand that as a reality in terms of what we can provide for snow operations. That's a significant difference. And I know some of our residents have said that they would be happy with us raising taxes in order to provide a in-house operation similar to what Lake St. Louis, and that could be. But I think a question for this board is certainly for the handful of snow events we have each year, what resources do you want to put towards that? And what tax impact would that have to our citizens? We've estimated that equipment alone, we would need to invest $2.3 million. And that does not take into account staffing, fuel, salt, those other operational considerations. I'm going to have Matt give you a review just of the storm and the operations that took place, and along with his recommendation for improving snow removal, should we have another significant event this season.
All right, so I'd like to start off with our procurement process for the snow and ice removal. We put this out to bid on June 16th on the city website. The same day we solicited bids via email to 13 contractors after hours. So the next morning came in, got another 13 contractors, solicited bids early in the morning to them. Also on the 17th, we posted the RFP, the advertisement for the RFP to the city's Facebook page. And on the 20th, the advertisement for the RFP was published in the St. Louis Post-Dispatch and appeared in the stltoday.com. Bids closed on July 11th. We received one qualified bid. We only received one bid, but that bid was a qualified responsive bid. On August 6th, we had our first reading, brought that forward to the board, had our first reading, and on the 20th, we had our second reading and approval, and we awarded the snow and ice removal to Sharp Construction. On October 22nd, we had a preseason meeting with Sharp Construction. We talked about staffing, equipment going to be used, how we were going to respond to storms, main points of contacts, and how they were going to attack storms and stuff of that nature. This last storm we had, I think it's important to emphasize the temperatures. So on Friday, it was cloudy with frigid temperatures. The high was 11, low was 0. I think it's important to show the temperatures because rock salt loses efficiency at 20 degrees Fahrenheit and becomes ineffective at 15 degrees. So very little pre-treatment was done for the storm. We went out, we did the main roads and intersections to help create traction and maybe any ice or snow melt that occurred in the first day. But we knew with the rock salt applied, there would be very little effectiveness in that. But when the snow came around on Saturday around noon, it was also very cold. Again, as you can see, we got about 2.9 inches of snow. The contractor was deployed at the time and out pushing snow. Sunday, snow started real heavy in the morning. It fell about half an inch an hour. The contractor had a hard time trying to keep up. As expected, I think all municipalities around here had a hard time trying to keep up. It was a pretty heavy storm. We got about 5.5 inches of snow. And as you can see, the temperatures there are still very low. And then with the amount of snow and the contractor working around the clock, what ended up happening was a bunch of snowpack on areas that were missed. And that was one of the primary challenges during this event was snowpack. Once snow becomes densely packed, it is much harder to remove. Smaller plow trucks are effective in many conditions, but they do not break up packed snow like the heavier municipal fleets. That's why conditions in Darden Prairie differ from neighboring communities. So you can see even later in the week, we still had crews out pushing snow, trying to get snow, but the snowpack was very difficult to remove. We were having them apply large amounts of salt, but with the low temperatures, the salt was kind of effective in the sun, but as soon as the sun went away, the low temperatures, the rock salt wasn't effective. As you see later in the week, as the temperature rose, the rock salt was able to effectively melt the snowpack and ice. Moving forward, we've gone ahead and we've been in talks with a supplemental contractor. We had many problem areas in the city. The supplemental contractor responded during this storm event very quickly, very professionally, with great communication. We pulled them in and we've asked what they can do for us, what routes they'd be willing to take over. They picked out the 2 problem area routes and said they would be happily available to do those routes efficiently. So they will be some supplementing Sharp Construction moving forward. We've also went ahead and gone out to other contractors and asked for quotes if there is a need to replace Sharp in the future. So that is the plan going forward. We plan on staying with Sharp with the supplemental contractor for now, and with the short snow season left. And I do believe with the supplemental contractor doing the larger problematic areas, I think we will see a much better product this next go around. If there was something to change, we will have additional contractors that have submitted quotes that we could sub in.
Who's the supplemental contractor?
They are on my own time lawn care. They're from Troy. So they were working with KPM. KPM was more of the salt supplier. On my own time lawn care was the actual snowplow driver, and he has the equipment, but he gets all the salt supply from KPM.
Do they have larger trucks?
They have about the same size trucks. They have a larger fleet of people though. So if they're able to respond quickly and get the snow removed before snowpack, they should have a better time of removing.
What were identified as the problem areas?
We had Westfield Woods with a big one, Canvas Cove, Layton Hollows, Barrett Haven, Darden Meadows and Bainbridge were very big problem areas.
Primarily, it's our cul-de-sacs.
Yeah.
We have 253 cul-de-sacs in Darden Prairie, which is a very large number of cul-de-sacs. And those are so with the county, subdivisions with cul-de-sacs were last. Same with our operations this year, cul-de-sacs come last. So that is the challenge, is that by the time the contractors can get out to the ones with cul-de-sacs, the snow is packed, right? And those trucks just can't lift the snow like the bigger municipal fleets can. So cul-de-sacs are primarily the challenges, and that's where we saw the complaints.
Were the complaints based on timing of getting equipment through the neighborhoods, or was it the ineffective application of the equipment to the snow itself?
I think a little bit of both. I mean, I think what we heard most was the snowplows haven't been here, but I know we told the contractor to go out there. They'd been out there. They'd reported back to that they had been there, but their equipment was ineffective. They weren't able to get it all up. So residents were thinking, hey, no one's been here. And it's like, well, they've been there. They've dropped salt, but cold temperatures, salt's not really reacting.
Well, I think the storm that we had was extraordinary for our area. It was not a typical storm. So that's clearly one of not an excuse why we weren't able to do it, but it was the reality of what we were dealing with.
Mm-hmm.
And so hopefully, people, granted, everybody's going to be concerned and many people will express themselves, but they also need, and I don't know, are we responding to them in writing? Are we calling people back, or are we just listening to what they have to say and letting it go?
Well, I think that's one of the challenges that we've realized afterwards, is that people interpreted the hotline to be we were going to respond and speak to them directly. But the reality is, as I said, our staff was out there trying to help with snow removal and help remediate the situation. They didn't have the opportunity to call people. So when we post that again, we're going to make it clear. It's a reporting line. You're supposed to report where you are and what the issue is. You haven't been plowed, or they piled snow up in front of your mailbox, or what have you. It's really a reporting line.
I I do have a statement also. I know some of my communities in Ward 1 are still under construction. So a lot of them thought that the city should have been plowing their
Right.
locations as well too. And I got a lot of complaints for that. So I don't know how to communicate with that, the individuals, my residents in those communities, because that's also a hard one too. So I don't know how to do that next time if this happens, but it's just a plan to think about.
Sure. And I think Matt and I reminded Matt the other day, I believe that we discussed having either the developer
Yeah.
post signs in the subdivision so that individuals will know. I know that one of the photos shown on the KMOV story was actually one of those subdivisions that is not our responsibility. It's still developers. I appreciate you bringing them up.
No
That's
problem.
because we did reach out. Another problem, and I'd say specifically in villages of Bainbridge, was cars parked.
Yeah.
And when you've got those narrow roads,
Yeah.
cul-de-sacs, and then you have cars parked all over it, that presents a real challenge for trying to remove snow. I know, and I'm not suggesting this at this time, but I know the city of O'Fallon actually has gone so far as to ticket cars. They've adopted an ordinance, and they send officers out there to ticket before a snow event if there's cars parked. We did reach out to HOAs and try to educate them on, people getting their cars off the streets. We'll continue to do that as we have the new website and have better communication resources. We'll continue to promote that message of get your cars off the street so the plows can get down them.
Now, one of the challenges that I saw in our subdivision, and we have, was it 11? We have 11 cul-de-sacs in our subdivision. Two streets in, no through streets at all, 11 cul-de-sacs. Tough to get through that area. Now, that said, when the trucks were coming through, unfamiliar with our cul-de-sacs and the size of the islands, so to speak, that they're trying to miss with their trucks, is hitting one gets your attention, right? And so I think they were a little bit skittish in terms of how close they were willing to get to where they thought they needed to be, but not necessarily getting close enough to make their pass as effective as they otherwise could have. And so one of the things that we might be able to do to help our contractors out is maybe, and this would take a task, maybe we put this, forward to the HOAs themselves, but people will take it upon themselves to put, I'll call it these markers, curb markers or whatever, that maybe we as HOA members, subdivisions in the neighborhood, take those sticks, for lack of a better term, and mark the areas so they know where they shouldn't go, which allows them to get more effective at what they're actually doing when they're actually there. So that may be something, again, we're not going to get that solved tonight, obviously, but that might be another step that we can take to help our contractors. All right.
I do have one more comment, and I'll be done. Can everybody hear me? Okay, so I know some cul-de-sacs have those angles where the drain is certain places. Should we know that? That's my question to Matt. Should we know where, Alderman Bosman, should we know where that drainage is? Because one of my subdivisions, the snow is at that drain.
Right,
So
they are
it
not supposed to
can't-
block those.
Correct.
The contractor's not supposed to block mailboxes, driveways, or
Okay.
fire hydrants and storm drains.
Okay,
Yeah, that's in the RFP itself. So if it is, contact City Hall and we will either deploy the contractor or ourselves out there to clear the drainage, because we don't want flooding. Yeah.
But that being said, when county did it, they plowed right up
Yeah.
to
Right.
the inlets also. I mean, it's almost hard to control that
There's so
when
many
you're
things.
the cul-de-sacs. To Bob's point, I mean, I think we as a city maybe look into bulk purchasing some of those posts to offer them up to the neighborhoods. I mean, it might be reasonable to buy them in a bulk and then let the neighborhoods know that, you can get them to put them out to use. I mean, I don't know what the cost of them are, but might be able to get a bulk price on them.
So maybe that's something we can have prepared and for the HOA dinner that we have in the spring. I think this would be just a good topic for that anyway.
Sure.
But you know, we
Yeah, I
could
think
take a look at that and the board can consider making that offer to the HOAs.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna just add that, as Kathy pointed out, I was there working, side by side with the staff throughout this process, and I'm really proud of the way the staff responded, from Matt to our city engineer to our public works supervisor, Joe, and the whole team. They were working over the weekend, through the weekend, and in the daytime and in the evenings as well. Saw a lot of tired faces, a lot of worn out faces, but they were doing what they could to keep up and try to, make this right for our residents. And I'm very proud of them, as Kathy as well, and her leadership and all this. So I really want to just give credit to the staff for trying to help mitigate this as the vendor, didn't meet our expectations as we hoped, but they really worked hard to work with the vendor to get on the right foot after this really challenging snow. So thank you to the city staff. Appreciate that. And I should also add Rose, who also chipped in and worked over the weekend to help keep our residents updated with those solid communications that were posted. So thanks, Rose. So
What is the trigger point for the launching the contractor? Is it 2 inches of accumulation?
It's at our discretion whenever we feel the need.
Is there any reason why the contractor can't be given the discretion to execute themselves?
I think it's just for budgetary reasons because they're charging by the hour. So I think we want to be able to make the call so they're not going out early or waiting too long because they're on a different site, And then that's why it's written in there. We get to make the decision on, hey, you need to be here now or tomorrow at noon. In the storm's case.
I just wanted to close on by saying the mayor's being modest about his supportive staff. So he was actually out there driving all of the subdivisions to report back to staff on where we still needed to get drivers and what the conditions were. And that was extremely helpful because, as I said, our public works supervisor and our public works staff were out there actually trying to help plow snow, either with skid steers or with a plow truck that we have. Joe in particular was not only trying to manage the contractor, manage calls coming into the hotline, but also work out there. And he took it very personal. Every complaint he took very personal. And, while we were all disappointed with the snow operations during this and that we could not keep up with the snow removal, I can't fault any of my staff. They did an excellent job.
absolutely. Okay. Any other comments or questions on this? No, sir. Okay. All right. So we're going to move on to item number 3. Any questions on the regular agenda for tonight? None heard? Okay. That being said, I'm going to make a motion I'd like to entertain a motion to go into closed session pursuant to RSMO 610.021, section 3 and 11.
So moved.
Moved by Alderman Wilson,
Second.
second by Alderman Gettlemeyer. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Unheard? We need to go roll call vote, don't we? City clerk, roll call vote, please. Sorry.
Alderman Wilson.
Aye.
Alderman Nay.
Aye.
Alderman Waters.
Aye.
Alderman Gettemeyer.
Aye.
Alderman Detweiler.
Aye.
Alderman Johnson.
Aye.
6 days.
Okay, we will move to closed session and be back momentarily.